I was thinking the other day, I've been single for 4 years. It's not that I didn't want to be in love or want to be in a relationship, I just didn't have the courage for it. And this year I feel like a little part of me saying, it's time to start dating. But I do have a barrier. So this video is about that barrier, and if any of you are single and have a barrier, or you did at one point in your life, it'd be kind of cool to hear what that was. I have made a conscious choice not to date. Because of 2 reasons. Pretentiousness and perceptions. Maybe you could develop some P&P vitamin to get you over those 2 humps. P and P. I don't feel that I'm healthy enough to date yet. Those are my 2 barriers. But I'm at this point where I want to date. Okay, I'm going to try to keep this under 10 minutes. I hate these time constraints. If I start rambling, I could go on for a long time. You know, you're probably like, we're Raven, hello. Watch a few minutes and we're like moving on to the next. I'm not really a lonely person. I'm not a lonely person. I don't get lonely. I really don't get lonely. It's the same thing, I just said that. I don't know if I'm going through a midlife crisis. I don't know what it is. I can't describe the season. I mean, I know why I'm single. It's a barrier. I've got a barrier. And I lost my point of concentration. What was I saying? Life as a single woman. What does that mean? Not been kissed, not my hand held, not gone on a date. It's very interesting. I have not had the energy to open my heart. And it's not so much from experiences in relationship. I'm a woman who has a lot of self-worth. And the failure of my relationships were because I was naive. I took people for face value. And later on found out they were nothing like they appear to be. And these barriers are kind of in the way. Most people who date try to impress the other person, really. So let's just like call that what it is. A guy brings me flowers and says sweet things. I receive it, I feel all of that. 9 months later, none of that's happening, and you realize that was just about impressing you. That wasn't their true nature to be romantic and give them that way. There's a shock value. Can you imagine? Ooh. This shock thing. Jekyll and Hyde. Jekyll and Hyde. This has not been easy. The light is going to go on at some point. If you're dating somebody that's smart, they're going to figure you out. And you just wasted all their time. And you wasted your time. I hate to sound bad, but, you know, if you're a jerk, there's somebody out there who will take you in. Oh, Raven, oh, Raven. That's so wrong. And it's true. What if you're somebody who has mood swings all the time and you're really happy in this new relationships and they don't see that, and then after that newness has gone away, they start seeing your mood levels. I hate that. I hate that. Now, I'm not saying that that is pretentious, because I'm not saying you're deliberately trying to deceive this person. It's just that you know your true nature in a relationship. That's the one you need to consciously try to show, even if you're really happy when you're first initially dating somebody, because that is fair. That's honoring their time. Once the reality of the person kicks in, my heart changes. I cannot love a fairy tale. I cannot love an illusion. I cannot love, I need to change you to love me or accept me. I cannot love that crap. I think if I could put the wound in a basket, it's not about relationships I've had as much as it is about so many people I've met that don't have a really true, real-time perception about their life. A lot of people could go to counseling and sit down and talk about relationships and walk out going, I didn't know that. Not that many people will walk into a counseling session and spend a good few months talking about a relationship and walk out without learning something. I spent my whole life, almost my whole life, taking people for face value. If you described a relationship and you told me that was the truth, you know, and then slowly you get to know them and you realize, well, they're actually selfish, they're not giving, they're actually don't do much. Someone can say they're compassionate, you know, you're around them for a while and you realize they treat their mom like crap, or their sibling, or somebody, and then you end up wondering, well, gosh, can't you see that? Aren't you aware? Can't you see that? Hello? You don't do anything. And you just like want to slap them. Not really. Some people just have a hard time seeing outside of their wounds, seeing outside of their denial. Now, I'm not saying that I don't react in real time. I don't have this little thing that says, oh, you're lying. This isn't true. I don't do that. But there's a part of my mind that says that it could be a surprise, or they don't have a true perspective of it. But that doesn't really impact that moment or that relationship or that season. I have to have evidence contrary before I start really emotionally going, I'm one of those people that fears someone else's baggage. That sounds bad, but I don't want to deal with someone else's baggage. I don't want to walk into a relationship with somebody and because something else happened to them, that there's an assumption that I'm going to do that. Because when there's assumption from the get-go, then you got to tread water. And who wants to tread water? I don't want to tread water. I want to be free. I'm not an extension of any experience. You know, I'm just who I am. I'm not this control freak. You know, I'm very laid back, hippie type of a gal, and I'm like, you know, I'm not somebody that, oh, where are you going? What time? You know, I hate that stuff. You know, I wouldn't be drawn to any guy who was controlling in any way whatsoever. I like the free flowing, you know, treat me like an adult kind of thing. I'm off on the subject again. I'm afraid of someone putting on disguise and finding out 6 months later that they're nothing like they appear to be. I'm afraid of that. And that is a wound. That is a wound. And yet I know I have to do that. I know I have to date at some point because I want to get married and have sex. Scratch that part. Try to keep this conversation at a rated G. I totally want to have something in my life now, and I just don't know. I just wonder, I think what's going to happen, this is what I think is going to happen. I think I will probably have to date someone for a good year before I think I could fall in love. Not to say that I wouldn't like them, enjoy them, and have feelings for them. I envision being married to my best friend. And he will have to be a man that I respect and admire. And I realize it's going to be rare to meet somebody who has clarity, that has a true, clear view of their weaknesses and strengths. I just wish I had this like a little crystal ball that said, this person is exactly who they are. How many of you have a story to tell about a season in your life where you did not have love, that you're afraid of, or reluctant in any way to fall in love or be in a relationship?